will share you the link later. Third is we provide live interpretation between English and Spanish. So feel free to choose your preferred language by looking for the bar at the bottom. You look for the three dots and you can choose your translation channel. And last but not least, you can put in the QA box any questions you have right from the beginning. You can also upvote the ones you like, so we will answer them in the text box or answer them live. So Eva will be here with us today to help us with that. Okay, so before we move to Cesar's part, I just like to open the dialogue a little bit and introducing to you who we are, the Forest Stewardship Council, in case you are not aware of us. So we are, until today, we lead the world's most rigorous and trusted forest certification system. We are trusted by leading NGOs, by consumers and businesses. We have operated for more than 30 years, and our logo is recognized by almost half of the population in the world. And specifically, over the world, we have about 80 ecosystem services project in FSC certified forests. So that is a few relevant metrics for you at the webinar today. And also to set the scene for the webinar today, why forest matters for all businesses. So, your businesses rely, without realizing, you might not know that your business might rely on forests one way or another. Forests reduce climate-related business risk. It also provides a secure water source, which is critical resource for many industries. It also safeguards biodiversity for supply chain resilience. It also helps protecting soil and landscape. And it also enables social value and strengthens corporate reputation. So in other words, forests aren't just an environmental topic, but they are a strategic business assets that supports continuity, compliance, and credibility for your business. So with that foundation, let's go another level deeper. How forests and verified impact contribute to corporate sustainability goals. And with this, I'd like to hand it over to Cesar, who will walk us through how forests contribute to corporate sustainability goals, from climate and water to biodiversity and community, and how frameworks like verified impact can help companies translate these benefits into stronger ESG performance. Over to you, Cesar.
Thanks, Nog. Good morning, good afternoon, good morning for me, because I'm based in the south of Brazil. I'm happy to be here to talk about today about this topic that is very interesting, ecosystem services. So let me try if I can move. It doesn't work. Yes, I'm moving. Yes. Well, that's the first. As you know, FSC is a big organization related with forest management standard. So in that direction, FSC is linked and is joining the fighting with the big crisis that threatening the world, like the climate crisis, biodiversity loss, and society inequity. Those crises are one of the most important things in those crises is to fight against this crisis as the forest. And FSC, it's very related with forest. So when a forest manager or forest owner decide to have the FN certification, it's implied they are protecting nature, because FSC certification include in 1 and 3 of their 10 principles the protection of nature. Every standard of FN certificate, forest manager certification around the world have to complement this standard. But until this moment, even though the forest manager has the FN certification, he doesn't know how much nature he's protecting with the FNC or a forest management certification from FSC. For that reason, FSC established or create the ecosystem services procedure. Through the ecosystem services procedure, the forest manager can obtain or can get the data of how much nature, translated by ecosystem services, he is protecting with the FN certification. And the result of that procedure is the verified impact. So the data obtaining of the quantified data of the protection of nature. In this slide, we see that the first step of having or to implement the ecosystem service procedure is having first the forest manager certification. And after that, the forest manager can decide to, in voluntary way, to work with the ecosystem services procedure. So the ecosystem services procedure is voluntary, and today in FSC we are working with 7 ecosystem services: biodiversity, carbon, water, soil, recreation, culture, and air quality. Uh, the forest manager, when he decides to work with the ecosystem service procedure, he had to implement. The implementation, it has 7 steps. First, he has to decide with which ecosystem service he wants to work. He can work with 1, with 2, with 3, with the 7 ecosystem services that are included in ecosystem service procedure. After that, the forest manager have to implement the procedure or have to fulfill the different technical data that I required for the procedure. He could do that by himself, or for instance, he has a sustainability department or has a forest in his company, or he can hire a project developer. That project developer could be an individual consultant, a consultant firm, and university, for example, and they help to the forest manager to fulfill or to complete the procedure. When they complete during the procedure, have to select the ecosystem services, to decide what activity they will implement for the conservation or improvement of the ecosystem services. You have to build a theory of chain that show the different activity and the result the procedure will have. He have to decide to select the indicator that will check the improvement or the containing in the procedure, and of course had to get the positive result. When they finish the implementation of the procedure, they send the result or the complete template to a third-party certification body that we call certification body. That certification body, that is external of FSC, check if the procedure is complete is well done, and if the file it has positive result, he certified the ecosystem service is verified impact, and that he communicate the certification body communicate the situation to FSC. In that moment, FSC allowed the forest manager or the forest owner to use the data or the verified impact data and communicate the protection of data. This data has the it doesn't move. Has the characteristic that the data is quantified, because through the data we know how much of nature we are protecting. It has high integrity because FSC support the data obtained through the ecosystem service procedure, and it has transparency because FSC communicate in different ways the result of that procedure, and everybody can consult the result of the procedure. Today, we have two routes of uses of the ecosystem services data provided by the procedure. One is the footprint that is to show how and about the forest impact the forest manager and the company is doing to the nature. And the second type of use of the data is for a management project of that to prove that you are collaborating with projects that reducing the harmful impact that the activity of that company or the forest manager is doing to the to the nature or to the forest. And of course, the third use of our data is for storytelling, so to communicate that in different ways that the company or the forest manager is collaborating or supporting the protection of forest in one place around the world. The data provided by the ecosystem services procedure can be used in different ways. It can be used to use in sustainability report, the different standards are used in the world, that to track the progress in different standards that require this type of data, can optimize the value chain or the inside the value chain, between the value chain or outside the value chain of the company, and of course trying to integrate or to be the green aspect of the brand more stronger. As I said, the data obtained through the ecosystem services procedure are aligned with the different or the most famous framework standard, sustainability standard around the world. So that for that reason, the data of obtaining through the procedure, we can report to different standards. For instance, TNFD, GRI report, Global Biodiversity Framework, because we are ready to align our data with type of a framework. For instance, in one example, a coming Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework is one of the main famous standard what you use it to report the activity to protect biodiversity. It has now 23 targets, and FSC with the data obtaining through the ecosystem service procedure, we are fully aligned with those targets, with eight of those targets. And we are partially aligned with 6 of those targets. So with the data obtained through the ecosystem services procedure, we can fulfill the target required the coming Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. As we know, FSC has a different verification of the data obtaining through the ecosystem service procedure. The first verification is that the first step is the forest manager have to have a forest management certification. With all the required, we have to fulfill to have this certification. The second verification is have to fulfill the ecosystem service procedure. And the third verification that is that FSC control the communication of the data of the protection or the verified impact. In that communication, FSC required that communication have to have many topics, have to have the license code, the name of certificate holder, the place where the project is taking place, have to have the period of time when the project is taking place. You have to have the result of the verified impact, the protector of nature, and those data is obligatory require that the forest manager had to, or the sponsor had to put in the claim. Talking about the sponsor, when the data is obtaining for the forest manager, FSC allows to the forest manager to find a partner to that help the forest manager to pay for the activity or to pay for the protection of the nature. We call that a sponsor. And that sponsor could use the data in the same way as the sponsor with different requirements that FSC have to do that. For instance, that is one of the examples that a company is using to communicate the situation of a sponsor, a sponsor or a project related with forest with certificate, FSC certificate forest manager certification. That's an example of a restaurant that is said with the different requirements that I showed to you with the other slide, that with the consumption of one meal in this restaurant, you are collaborating with the protection of forest. In another example, for instance, is the famous national lottery from France. Now it's called FDG United. The FDG United show in different ways the amount of investment they are doing to protect nature through the data obtaining for the verified impact, through the FSC ecosystem services procedure. Another example is, for instance, the famous forest company, Arauco. Arauco used the data obtained from the verified impact to fulfill or to report the TCFD report and to communicate the protection of different aspects of ecosystem service, in this case, biodiversity, he is doing with the support of different projects around the world, mainly in Brazil, Argentina, and Chile, where the company is based. Another good example of a non-forest company that used the data obtained through the ecosystem services procedure to fulfill or to support the sustainability plan is the case of Concha y Toro that we will talk about in a few minutes with our colleagues from Concha y Toro. So I give the floor to No. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cesar, for laying out the bigger picture. So yes, that was a lot of information about verified impact, but we will share the presentation as well as the recording later. So in case you have any questions, no worry, you can always go back to them, or you can send us a direct email, and then we look forward to answering them for you. Okay, so now let's see how this works in practice. Concha y Toro is one of the world's most well-known wine companies, and their approach shows what it looks like to integrate forests meaningfully into a corporate sustainability strategy, not as an add-on, but as part of a long-term value creation. So today we have Valentina Lira from Vina Concha y Toro. She's the Global Director of Sustainability with us. And please, Valentina, take us through your story, please. Can you control the slide, Valentina?
Thank you, yes, I think so.
Perfect.
And thank you for that introduction. And good morning or good day to everyone. It's very good for us to be here and today share the story from a wine company, as the slide is saying. So what I'm going to present to you right now, it's a little of the corporate sustainability strategy and how the FSC standard is related to the different topics by different chances. Okay, so for I am not sure if everybody knows what is Viña Concha y Toro actually. Okay, so I put this slide for you to understand that Viña Concha y Toro is not only one winery, but it's a family of wineries that is present mainly in Chile, but we also have operations in Argentina and the US. We are today one of the largest groups in the world related to the wine industry. We have more than 12,000 hectares of vineyards planted in those countries. Okay, if we relate that to the forest industry, it seems really small, but in the agricultural sector, this is a very huge amount of planted land. Okay, and also we are a company that is very open to the world in terms of the countries in which we export, or the countries in which we are present with the products. Okay, so today we are present in more than 130 countries, and we have 12 commercial offices for distribution in those key markets. Just for you to have an idea, every second, 12 bottles of Viña Concha y Toro are being opened around the world. Okay, that's I think is a very good way to realize how present is Viña Concha y Toro in the table of the different peoples in the different countries. Okay, so we also, and because of all the different programs that we have today in place, and not only starting from today, but for many years, because it's a long story for the company working in sustainability. Today, we are the most sustainable winery in the world, according to Dow Jones Sustainability Yearbook. We are members of this since 2015, and we continue being present during this period. And we are the largest winery to be B Corp certified since 2021. So showing that as a company, we are really focused in generating positive impact to the different stakeholders. And in 2019, we were the first winery certified by FSC. And at that time, we were also the first non-forest company certified with this standard, which is something that we are really proud of because of the process that we needed to help during that period. So we have a long story regarding the achievements and also related to environmental care. So as you can see right here, this is something that for us was not new. We already started in 2005 with the vision that was very, I would say the vision that was that the people in the field, or that the people in the vineyards were able to see, is that the vineyards that were very close to the natural forest had a different condition, okay? And meaning that they were more healthy, that they were more moisturized, and it was something like different conditions that they were not able to quantify, but they were very sure by verifying that in the field that the two conditions were different. So that's why the company started protecting the natural forest. And in 2011, we complete 3,272 hectares of natural forest protected. And after that, we started knowing more about that forest by implementing biodiversity inventories, flora and fauna. And very early in time, we start with the first study of the carbon stock that the forest had. So it was a story of having many, milestones during this period until we arrived to 2019, and we were able to achieve the FSC certification. And we wanted to do that because we wanted to, make clear the commitment of the company with the protection of the natural resources, with the protection of the forest, the Mediterranean forest that we have here in Chile, which is also a very characteristic kind of forest in the Mediterranean areas. And the Mediterranean areas are the ones that have the proper conditions for the growing of the vines. So after that, we have continued doing alliances for the protection of the forest and biodiversity inventories, not only including flora and fauna, but also ichthyofauna, which is the final step that we are concluding during this period. So the sustainability strategy of the company has different topics that we address. One of the main, or three of the main topics that we are addressing today are carbon footprint, biodiversity, and the regenerative practices for the vineyards. And if you see in all of them, the ecosystem services that we have today certified under the FSC standard are helping us to achieve the goals that we have in these different topics. Okay, so for carbon footprint, for instance, we have today the goal of being a net zero company by 2040, and the ecosystemic service that we have certified is the carbon capture from the forest. Okay, so it is something that is really going to make a contribution for what we are doing here. Protection of biodiversity is only something that we achieve not only inside the vineyards, but also in the surrounding areas, considering the forest that we have in place. And the regenerative practices are, again, not separated for the ecosystem that the vineyard and the forest are today generating. So what we can see is that for us, even when we are not a forest company, the benefits of having protected forest is cross-cutting all the sustainability strategy of the company, not only in environmental aspects, but also in social aspects. And that is something that today we have with specific goals in our nature-based solutions program. The objective of this program is to contribute to regenerate life in the forest vineyard ecosystem through practices that enhance natural conditions. What you see here in this picture is biodiversity linking with the productive land. And that is something that we want to achieve, have the same view or the same vision for all the natural resources, even when one is for conservation and the other one is for productive activities. Okay, so and that's why for us all the program that we have in place is also linked to the SDGs because we are looking for we are making a contribution to end deforestation and restore degraded forest, to protect biodiversity and natural habitats, and also to promote access to the genetic resources and the benefit that they provide, because we are not only protecting, but growing the seeds from the forest and using them to replant or to reforest to reforestation in the reforestation activities in the different areas in which we are present. So here, the idea of our certification was, as I was saying, to demonstrate the commitment to the care and regeneration of the Mediterranean sclerophyll natural forest. And just again, for you to have an idea, today the conservation ratio that we have is around 0.5, meaning that for every hectare that the vineyard that we have from planted vineyard, we have 0.5 hectare of natural forest of protected and under the certification scheme that we are using today, which is FSC or ecosystem services. Okay, so for us, is being a non-forest company. For us, it's a very we think it's a very good contribution that we are doing regarding the protection of the forest. And also, as I was saying in the beginning, it's a significant contribution that the one that the forest is providing us in order to achieve the net zero goals. Just again, just for you to have an idea, every year the 4,000 hectares that we have in the surrounding areas of the vineyards are providing us with 15,000 of removed tons of CO2 per year. Okay, so which is something that is very good, because that number is very similar to the carbon emissions that are linked to the agricultural activity. So we can say that our land is almost in balance, okay? And that is because of we are able to quantify the contribution that the natural resources, or in our case, non-productive natural resources, are providing to the company. the idea for us is also continue with the quantification of the carbon soil. Okay, and this is something that we have been addressing since 2024, and we will move or we will continue exploring the results regarding that. And it's going to be really, I think, very interesting again, because the contribution that the natural resources can make to achieve the goals or the net zero goals or the carbon targets in general is really significant if we are able to quantify them. And I would say that's the most difficult part, and sometimes the most difficult to address. Okay, so for us, FSC is contributing to our sustainability because these three main reasons. Okay, because it provides us a strong and reliable framework for natural resources conservation and the positive impact that we are generating on nature. And when I say nature, it's not only the forest, but also the productive areas that we have, because we are able to see that the conditions in the vineyards are improving and get better when they are near to forest lands. The second part is the role of the natural forest as a natural carbon sink that is going to make a significant contribution in achieving our net zero goals and the routes that we have for the science-based targets and all of the different commitments that we have. And this is not only today is the forest, but the idea is also include again not only the conservation areas, but also the productive areas. And it has been a great tool to improve our relations with the local communities in the areas in which we have certified forests. And this is because the standard for certification require us to, have an active relation with the local communities. And in the beginning, for us, it was something that was more, I would say, not very systematic. And since we started being certified, it's something that we have done in a very systematic way in the generation of this communication path with the local communities, including environmental education, the relevance of the natural forest in the regions in which we are present, and what is more important, I think, is how to protect the natural forest from the improper human intervention, like accidents that can happen because of the forest fires. Here in Chile, for instance, forest fires are almost 99% generated by human intervention. So that's why it's so important for us to generate good practices in the local communities and generate awareness regarding the role of the local communities in the protection of the natural resources. Okay, so for us, has been a very challenging initiative, but has been very rewarding as well. And I would like to finally invite you to know more about the sustainability strategy of Viña Concha y Toro and go deeper in the detail, or go in more detail in the topics that we have addressed today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Valentina, for a very inspiring presentation. I have to say, I think looking back at your presentation, this has been a very long-term journey for Concha y Toro, and you certainly have thought very carefully about your vision. And I remember you also shared with me that this is only the current step for you to apply verified impact in your sustainability strategy. The next step would
Yes.
be to obtain biodiversity claim and a few other ecosystem services claims that verified impact provides, right?
Yes, absolutely. Because the idea is not to stop here. The idea is to continue adding new services in which we can demonstrate that we are generating a positive impact. So that's why for us, the FSC certification is so important, because otherwise it's something that you cannot demonstrate using an independent third-party certification system, which is very demanding and a very high standard. Is the way that we can truly show that we are addressing the positive impact that we are looking for.
Okay, very well said. Thanks, Valentina. We have 20 minutes for the questions and answers, so I think that we still have enough time, although we received quite a lot of questions, which is a really good sign from the audience. But before we move to the Q&A section, there are a few questions that I'd like to ask both of you, so that the companies who do not involved directly in forestry can consider can have options for their sustainability strategy. So let's explore what is transferable and what inspirations others can draw. My first question for Cesar, please. So many companies do not manage forests directly. What do you think how do you think they can integrate forest stewardship into their strategy, whether through supply chain or sourcing policies or partnerships?
Yes, no. Well, it's easy because first the company, it's not for a company, have to to think about what kind of ecosystem service he wants to support, because it's related with the chain of custody, with the value chain. Sorry, and for instance, if it's water, he can speak with the country involved, for instance, Chile or Brazil or Spain, if they have one project working with water and forest, and he can find the core project to help, and if they need help to protect the forest. For instance, there are several examples around the world. For instance, one example is in Mexico, the company Del Fuerte. It's a tomato company. They want to protect, to collaborate with the forest protector that is working with water, and they find, with the help of FSC Mexico, one project related with the community Ejidotopia, that they are working to the forest protection and the protection of water. So he connect the community and did an agreement with them to help in economic way to help them to protect the forest. I also want to add here that the special case of Concha y Toro, because Concha y Toro, we went there. We are very grateful with Concha y Toro, because we were there in Chile in last September in opportunity of our Ecosystem Services Summit in Chile, and we went to the vineyards, and we saw the strong and the faith they put in the project. And an important thing is Concha y Toro is doing an investment by itself in this project. They don't have a sponsor. And one of the cases that the company decide to invest in the project, in the protection of forest, and to implement the verified plan. No, it could be many projects could have sponsors and others no. I don't know if the answer is done.
Yes, that's perfect. Great to know, Cesar. Thanks for alluding to many other examples. A question for Valentina, which is also connected to what Cesar has just said. From your experience, what lessons can you share with other industries that are relevant? For example, for food, for fashion, or for packaging, the sectors that rely heavily on natural resources. What questions can you share with them? What lessons, sorry?
Yes. I think, I mean, I think it was a very good tool that FSC provide us to all. I mean, when I say us, I mean all the companies that are not forest companies, because I think this is a tool in which we can be actively linked, not being a forest company in nature, but being, for instance, an agricultural company or a energy or construction company. No matter the sector or the economical sector in which you participate, you can be linked to natural resources. And that is something that today is really, is really important for a company in order to have a very holistic sustainability strategy. No matter what you do, you are linked to natural resources. So it is possible to make a contribution, or, as Cesar was saying, sponsor your value chain in order to be linked to the climate action at the end. Because natural resources are making, as I was saying before, a big contribution to mitigation or adaptation to global warming. Okay, so that's why I think it is something that we can, no matter the economical sector, you can be linked. It was a great that you, Cesar, were able to see the experience and see, the effort that sometimes requires, mainly to the companies that whose core activity is not the forest. For us, this is something that we are doing because we truly believe that this is providing a benefit for the vineyards and for the local communities and also for the planet at the end. But the steps that you saw in that timeline would have been faster if we have had some sort of sponsorship or some partner in this journey, joining us and giving us help or technical support in order to accelerate that. So my message is, if we as a company are able to provide that kind of sponsorship to some other companies, maybe smaller companies or not totally related to the forest kind of companies, is something that we should do in order to accelerate changes and accelerate actions regarding climate change, biodiversity, and ecosystemic protection.
Yes, indeed, really, yes, really great reflections. I totally agree. I think sustainability and protecting natural resources should be a concerted effort, and the more partners we can work with, the better. So really great, really thankful for the insights. So now I would like to move to the Q&A section. And to do that, since we have quite many questions, let's try to answer as many as possible, and then we can leave a few minutes at the end just to recap. But now I'd like to ask Eva to help us raise the questions that we think are the most relevant and insightful.
Yeah, thank you, Nook. Thank you, everyone. We do have quite a few questions, so I will start with the technical ones, and Cesar, most likely best directed to you. So we have one question that asks, can you please clarify the role that the principle of additionality plays in FSC's verified impact, and how is that measured?
Yes, now from the reform of ecosystem services procedure that it was published in the 1st of January of this year, and it was implemented from July, the additionality have a very important place. And mainly when we have a sponsor, they have to prove the additionality. In another case too, but in general, that's the question, that's the answer.
Okay, great, thank you. Another question for you, Cesar, would be, is there an aspect of complying to the EUDR within the ecosystem services approach?
Yes, FSC is working very hard to comply the UDR regulations, and of course, you know, it's not an easy question, and we fulfilling a lot of the requirements of UDR, but it's a political thing aspect. So FSC is working on that, is trying to align with the different aspects, and trying to the UDR will accept the FSC certification to fulfill the requirement.
Okay, great, thank you. One more, and then we have a bunch for Valentina for you as well. So one more technical one, Cesar, is when the MU has the documentation ready, when is the best time to submit to CB? As ideally, the validation or verification would be best to be done simultaneously during surveillance audit. What would the additional cost be?
So you see yourself
Well, first, I didn't speak about the difference between verification validation, but mainly the verification is when it's for the moment, not right now, and validation is for the future, when the result of the recovery of the improvement of the nature will take place in the future. For instance, it's common in biodiversity because the improvement will take many years, more than the 5 years that included in certification to result. That's in the case of validation. And in the play, it depends the case, because of course we have to have first the FN audit, and generally the audit related with ecosystem service is dated in the same data, in the same opportunity as the second or the three opportunity of the FN certification to reduce costs, because it's easy to that the CV to send the auditors in the same opportunity to adding 1 day or 3 or 2 days to not put more cost than there. So it depends the case, and it depends the urgent that the company want to have the verified impact. Done?
Hi, Eva. Are you there?
We lost her.
No, I'm here. I'm so sorry. So question for Valentina. How was the process of your company to achieve the FSC certificate? Was it challenging?
Yes, absolutely challenging. Absolutely. Mainly because when you are a forest company, you are more related with the different processes that you need to address, because the standard is very focused in forest management, and in order to address the ecosystemic services, we needed to address first the forest management certificate or the forest management standard. So it was very challenging for us to like translate the forest language to an agricultural company. So it was a lot of participation as well in that process, and since we did a lot of work in the field, I think it was very good for the company because we started to, understand the connection between conservation and production, living in the same place. So it was very challenging, but a very good process as well.
Haiba.
The follow-up question is, do you think that the FSC certificate also contributes to the improvement of livelihoods of the related communities that you had mentioned? And if so, how?
I think when you are near to the local communities and in the beginning, they have the general idea that the forest is making a contribution to the community, but it's totally different when you start showing why is or the different aspects that the forest can make the contribution to the local, I would say, life quality as well. Because today, for instance, the people is not only protecting the forest, but also using it for recreational activities, for instance, in certain periods of time, or sports activities like, hiking, biking, things that the local communities today are able to do inside our forest, but they are doing that in a very safe way. And I mean safe for the forest because they know the risks and they know how to prevent the risk of forest fires or or living trash, for instance, living trash inside the forest, which is also one of the most common reasons to start forest fires, for the forest fires to start. And today, the local communities, they understand that, and they understand the benefits, and they understand which are what is the value for the environment that the natural forest is providing. These are natural forests, so it is not allowed for the people, to make extractive activities. You cannot go and take wood, for instance. And the Mediterranean forest is very, I would say, it's a low kind of forest, and you don't have many subproducts like in any other kinds of forest that you can find, for instance, in the south of the country. Okay, but you can use it, and that is a different kind of value. And I think that is very good because local activities or traditional activities can be generated there.
Okay, great, thank you. There are two
Eva,
more.
sorry, I think we have time for two more.
Yeah, I'm going to squeeze two more in. There are more, but I want to squeeze these two in. One question is related about visibility or ability to see the data supporting the adjacent forests and how that keeps the vineyards in better condition. And I do not know if that might be available via the QR code which was shared. And I believe that may not have materialized in a page, as someone made a note in Spanish, which I translated. So just want to get, confirmation of that. So yeah, question about the data. And then one related question also is, how do you communicate with about all the great.
Sorry, I wasn't able to listen the complete question, but it's how do you
communicate?
Communicate?
Yes, and it would be great to see data supporting how the adjacent forests keep the vineyard in a better condition.
Okay, so all of the topics related to the benefits or the impact, it's available in our website, because all of the information regarding the certification, the certificates, or even the audits reports are published in our website, in the sustainability section. And the thing is that we try to show or display in a very transparent way all of the information regarding the forest, and that's why we have it's not only the certificate but also the details, and also the details of the program, and so we have this impact report related only to nature-based solutions, and everything related to not only this activity but also many other ones are presented there, so anybody can take a look at that, and and in case you want to know more.
Right. Thank you so much, Eva, for coordinating all the questions and answers. We have collected all the questions, and we will try to address all of the questions through our follow-up emails. But if you have burning questions, feel free to share with us through this email, ecosystemservices@fsc.org, for more personalized consultation on verified impact. And it's been a really engaging and insightful presentation today. Thank you very much for all of you who have stayed until now. Thank you so much for Cesar and Valentina for being with us. I am left being very inspired by the vision and the journey, and I wish you all the best. So the recording and the presentation will be shared with you through email after this webinar. Thank you very much again, and I wish you a very nice rest of the day.